Okay, I've got a little tape left that I can use, and I'm going to kind of switch themes here a little bit and drop the one that we've been working on and go somewhere else. And I want to show you something, and you can find this in all my writing. I call it a symbol set. Okay, and there's two of them here. One is from the inside of the other one. Okay. Now, what's at the top there? What am I trying to illuminate? Well, I'm trying to put the bottom one. Let's talk about the bottom one first. Okay, what do you got there? Well, the top line says I am. The middle line says parentheses, capital A/D, close parentheses. Then it has I am inside some brackets. And then on the other side it says capital L/D inside some parentheses. And then below, human double. Now what is that? Well, the I am that's there's twice is the upper and lower ego. That's what's being symbolized. And you have the aromatic double, the AD, and the luciferic double, the LD. Okay, you with me so far? So, in the most intimate aspect of our soul life, and this is possible to perceive through introspection, the I is surrounded by the double, the threefold double complex, or the shadow. And this shadow stands in between us and the rest of our experience. We experience the world through it. And this is meant to be. This is very important because of a lot of different reasons that we'll get into next. Right now I'm just introducing the idea of it, okay? So you have the shadow, and the shadow is threefold, the aromatic double and the luciferic double and the human double. And I'll talk about those a little bit. The aromatic double is in between the I and those aspects of the soul which are directed toward the sense world. So out here in this direction you have the sense world. That's up here in the upper part. When we broaden out, we get out of that central part. And over here you have the spiritual world. So the aromatic double affects how we experience and understand our soul life that's connected to the apprehension we have of the sense world. And the luciferic double plays the same role, only it concerns our sense of and apprehension of the spiritual world. And this is very consistent with everything Steiner said about Lucifer and Ahriman. I'm just making a symbol set. I'm not trying to do anything more than show you the arrangements, the structural arrangements of the way these things are. So, for example, when you follow the path of knowledge of higher worlds and you work through the sense world and you enliven your experiences of the sense world through the exercises in knowledge of higher worlds, you're really sort of overcoming the influence of Ahriman on your perceptions of the sense world. So you're working with Ahriman in a kind of way. And of course, Steiner couldn't, because of his people, that he was teaching being in the intellectual soul, but now in the conscious soul we can say these things more directly. Okay? And of course, if you do the philosophy of freedom path, then you're right in the spiritual world already, and you meet the luciferic double. And of course, these doubles have the qualities that Steiner talked about. One sort of drags you more earthly. My friend Catherine McCune talks about this side of things, the luciferic side, as absolute truth. And it's kind of an exaggeration of the significance of truth to be involved with the luciferic double and the experience of the spiritual world as we begin our journey of introspective science of the mind. If we do the knowledge of higher world side, we're more involved with Ahriman. We're more involved with the earthly because that's the nature of the sense world. And we have those problems with that. And Catherine calls it absolute fact. Ahriman tries to get us lost in the idea that there's absolute facts and they rule everything, and that's, of course, somewhat the nature of the way people approach natural science. And since we're raised in a culture where these things exist, then we try to develop ourselves where we're kind of stuck with, doing a better job, as it were. on that level. Okay, with me so far? Now, the top one, you will see the threefold double complex in the upper and lower ego is surrounded not only left and right by the sense world and the spiritual world, but above and below. Above, immediately above the I am, is the guardian angel. And then above that is all the hierarchies of Christ Jesus. You know? And then immediately below the human double are the asuras. I'm going to get into that in a minute because I didn't do the human double when I did the Luciferic and the Aramanic double. And then below that is the Divine Mother. You know? So she's concerned with the most earthly in a kind of way. And Christ is concerned with the most heavenly. You know, so let's talk about the human double. Now, we've already talked about it a little when I talked about 12 steps. Okay. Now, what is that? Well, Tomberg in Meditations of the Road talks about the human double in a certain kind of way. He talks about egregores, or psychic parasites. And let's take a heroin addict, for example. A heroin addict has a pleasure that he likes, which is the effect of the drugs, and he has a ritual which he enacts when he puts the drugs in his system. You know, he goes through this ritual. He has to melt the heroin in a spoon, and he has to tie off his arm, and he has to get the heroin into the hypodermic, and then he has to shoot it into himself. You know, there's this ritual in order to get the heroin into the bloodstream and get his high. And he repeats that ritual over and over again. And what that does in the soul life is it creates this egregore, or this psychic parasite, this being in the soul that is independent of the influence of the I. That's why he's addicted. This independent being drives his life. His I is now weakened by the fact that there's this independent being in his soul life. And as I worked with this more, I over the years, I got less and less comfortable with calling this this independent being, this psychic parasite, an egregore, which I think is a term from Middle Ages. And I also got a bit concerned with the way that Steiner talked about it. He actually mentions these kinds of beings indirectly in the last lecture from a Symphony of the, whatever it is. I can't remember the title of that, but you know which the one with the symphony in the title of the lectures. In the 12th lecture, he talks about cancers or tumors of the soul. Now that's a metaphor, of course, because Steiner had to use metaphors. He couldn't talk directly about these things. You know, he had a metaphor of the train. So he's saying, in our souls, we have these things that are like cancers or tumors. They're independent. And that's what the human double is. It's this self-created, independent entity. And the I confronts it, and it's a lower thing. It's the human double. It's down below in the diagram. And so there you are. You've got the human double, and you've got the overpowering, the overshadowing of the I by this very intense psychic parasite in the soul life. And that's what makes the I at that point susceptible to the activities of the asuras. As we read Steiner carefully on this, the asuras sort of deconstruct spirit. They deconstruct the ego. They take it apart. And if our ego becomes so weak through the influence, ultimately, over a long period of time, of the human doubles, of these egregores, of these psychic parasites, or what I call self-generated wounds, the I can be destroyed by the activity of the asuras. Did I scare you? Well, I hope not, because, you know, everything's within limits, but I got to stop and go on to other things, and hopefully I haven't used up too much time.